So yeah, I used to work at King Supers back in the day, dude, as like the front desk guy. You know, like when you walk in, I don't know, like King Supers, Kroger, like any kind of fucking grocery store. When you walk in, there's the area where you go for complaints, where you go for lottery tickets, where you go for cigarettes, like that kind of thing. And then we had like a 1 hour photo booth too that was built in. And back in the day, also a like video rental thing, because that was back in the day when like fucking video rental was big. You know, like when you'd go to fucking Blockbuster and shit. Blockbuster was huge back in the day. Anyway, so we had like our own like mini version of Blockbuster at the King Supers, and it was my job to either run the front desk area where people bought cigarettes, lottery tickets, and had complaints, or the other side where you did 1 hour photo and like rented videos to people. It was actually a pretty fun job. Like I enjoyed it. Um, but one day I was bored because it was slow, so I bought a lottery ticket and I won $20, right? And I was like, booyah! So I bought 20 lottery tickets and I won like $8. And then I bought 8 lottery tickets and I won like $4. Then I won, four lottery tickets and I got $2. And then two lottery tickets and I got $1. And then $1 and yeah, then I was out. But I spent $1 and scratched off like 40 fucking tickets. It was pretty funny. Anyway, that was my story about that. How you guys doing?
Doing good. How are you, bro?
Good, man. Good. Good to hear your voice. Good to see you guys.
Yeah. I was scarfing down some dinner. I made chicken spaghetti for dinner, and so I was trying to inhale it before the chat.
Chicken spaghetti?
Yep.
I don't know really about good. Chicken spaghetti. Maybe. I don't know. If it's like fried chicken, then it's chicken parmesan. That's not chicken spaghetti.
No, the way I make it is I take lake quarters, put them in a big pot, and fill it with water and the seasoned spices, and let that boil until the chicken's cooked. Then I'll throw it in the freezer to let it cool off so I can debone it. And then I take a couple cans of cream of chicken, couple cans of cream of mushroom, a can of Fiesta nacho cheese, and a can of Rotel. Mix that together, and then cook the noodles in the pot of chicken stock. And then debone the chicken, shred it up real good. Mix all that together with everything and throw it in the oven. Let it cook, and then I'll pull it out in about 30 minutes or so. Sprinkle some shredded cheese on top, throw it back in, let the cheese melt, and there you go. It's really good.
That sounds different. I gotta admit, that's not not something I would normally make.
Well, you gotta try
chicken,
it.
Okay, I get deboned chicken.
Really fucking good.
But like queso and like, what was the sauce that you made? What was in that?
It's cream of chicken, cream of mushroom, Fiesta nacho cheese. It's the can of Fiesta nacho cheese soup, and a can of Rotel. Mix all that together, and you got to use some of the chicken stock to make sure it's nice and moist and liquidy. And then throw it in the oven, let it cook for a while. Let all the flavors meld together with the noodles. You mix everything together, and then you put it in the oven.
How close is that to queso? Let's be honest here. Like the sauce that you're talking, like how close is that to queso?
Well, I mean, it's only one can of cheese, so I mean.
Okay.
It's not like I'm loading it down. I mean, I put shredded cheese on top just to kind of get that layer of cheese. So when you pull it out and let it cool off a minute, it kind of starts hardening like a crust, and then you serve it and eat it. It's really good. You got to try it.
I mean, if you make it, I'll try it. I don't think, I don't know if I'll be making that necessarily. It's all good though. Yeah, I made.
Yeah, we ever up again, I'll definitely make it because it's good. It sounds different, but it's something I grew up eating for many years. My mom used to make it.
I had falafel tonight, so it was pretty good. I ate God's favorite animal, lamb.
Yeah,
because that's God's favorite animal. If you don't know, he's the one. I mean, lambs are the ones that would get sacrificed instead of humans, right? Like when God started allowing something to be sacrificed instead of a human, he was like, well, I like lambs a lot, so I guess those will work. Kind of joking, halfway. Damn, dude, have you seen what's going on in Hawaii? I thought we'd talk about that for a bit tonight.
Yeah, I've seen several videos today of people saying that they're stuck in Maui, or how do you say that, the L word, the Liana or La Liana?
Not sure.
I don't-
Not exactly sure.
But yeah, talking about how bad it is. Seen videos um where they are saying it doesn't look like a fire rolled through. It looked like something exploded. People are saying that the government and everything's lying to everybody and trying to cover it up. Heard people
Like,
say it was a direct energy beam that actually hit.
yeah, there's that part. But I mean, the thing that I was going to talk about, though, is like, there, how many people are confirmed dead so far? And I think the number is somewhere between 50 and 100. I'm not sure exactly where it's at right now at the moment.
Last I heard,
But I
it
was
was like
looking at it
90
last
something.
night, and the other number that was crazy is how many people are missing.
Yeah, it's hundreds
There's
and hundreds of people.
over 1,000 people that
Yep.
as of last night anyway, and I don't know like what the current most recent number as far as what that's changed to is, but
Hmm
1,000 people plus were missing.
It's I
I don't
also
know,
saw
dude.
a video where they were talking about um, saying that it's a direct energy weapon that struck Hawaii or Maui, is because they're wanting to do a 15-minute city there, turn it the whole island into like a 15-minute city, because they also clipped in where the governor before this, I don't know how long before, probably weeks or months or whatever before, was talking about turning Maui into a 15-minute city from his own mouth.
Well, I mean, certainly there's going to be some investment and changes in that city now that basically a bunch of people who live there are dead, right?
Mhm.
And certainly the people who are alive, like all their shit's gone and their house is gone and there's
Mhm.
nowhere to go. It's not like you can just go like live on that plot of land for the next 5 years while they rebuild the area. So they're going to move away. So that land's like up for grabs, like for investment, right? So there's that part of it.
I've heard that Oprah actually
But
bought up a lot of land there.
yeah, she's got like 500 acres or something. But fuck, what was I going to say? God damn it, Corey.
Sorry.
Fuck, I don't remember where I was going. Never mind.
My bad.
Jeff Bezos also owns a shitload of land there.
That doesn't surprise me.
Oh, okay. I remember where I was going. Is it within the realm of possibilities that there's some sort of unbeknownst to us space laser owned by fill in the blank organization, corporation, or government floating around in space right now with enough potential energy to fire at the ground and create a fire? Is that feasible?
My opinion, yeah. I mean, they've
Anything's
already
possible.
shown. Yeah, I don't put anything past the governments of the world, but I've also seen videos where they've been working on it for years. Have them on ships or whatnot. So I mean, who's to say it came from high orbit? It could have been launched from sea and shot up and came directly down. So
Well,
I
I'm
don't know.
saying if it was an energy weapon that shot a laser at the ground and started a fire, is there technology like that that we do know about that exists currently? Is there anything like that we know of that militaries have right now?
Yes,
Which is what?
I don't know what it's called. I'm
What's
just
it used
going.
for?
What it's used for, I don't fucking know. It could just be a defensive weapon that they're creating
Okay, well,
against.
the answer is there's an actual answer. There's a
Oh,
laser that has been known by all of us for a really long time that shoots down rockets, that shoots down missiles, that shoots down airplanes if they wanted to, that shoots out of the front of a Boeing 747 that is like configured to hold a giant fucking laser. They've had this shit since the 1970s. I remember writing a fucking paper about it in high school, right? And I'm old as shit. I'm old as fuck. They've had that shit forever. And if you could take technology from the 1979 laser technology and burn up a fucking rocket, what do you think they've got in 2023?
Right.
Not to mention, that's the shit that we knew about. That's the shit that was out there for us to research and write papers about when we were in high school back in 1998, right? Like things like that, like the SR-71. Let's use that as an example. SR-71 was originally designed and produced in 1971. It wasn't known about for like 10 years. It was like 1981 that it finally got leaked or whatever. And it's because this thing's so fucking big and it would be on like runways and people would take pictures and then, you know, fucking secrets out, right? You can only keep a secret like that for so long. But it had technology on it that wasn't known about and things about it that are still not known about, right? As far as like how it works and what the things actually do to this day. But we didn't know about it in 1971. And if you had said in 1971, hey, we've got this thing that does like Mach 10 and that can fly over countries without being seen by radar and shoot rockets and missiles if it wants to and bomb fucking countries with nukes and they'll never even know it was there. You're like, holy fuck, bro. Like 1971. All right, cool. But yeah, I mean, whatever the level of technology is at, the point being is significantly less than what is actually out there, if that makes sense. Like what we know about is way less than the level of technology that they actually have. 100%. 100%.
Oh, yeah.
Every current tech on the market right now is anywhere from 15 to 25 years behind what the U.S. government and military are hiding.
Yeah, and in some aspects, I would bet it's even more. In some aspects, I'd say, you know, it's probably like on par. Like they're probably using some of the same technology in some ways or whatever, you know. But yeah, like some of the things that they have are probably 80 years ahead of what we're going to have, you know, if we ever get it. If humanity even makes it that fucking long. It's crazy where we're at.
Definitely.
Well, let's go to the chat. Simple Dan says, I recently acquired a 1970s vintage Smith Model 10.
Hell yeah. Congrats.
Welcome to the club, good sir. You, me, Matt, and Duke. Oh, wait, not Duke have one of those.
I can't believe he didn't keep at least one of them.
Seriously, dude. That made me upset. It really did. Made me sad. Made me think we mean less to Duke than money.
Right? Y'all were like a bonded trio with, you know, the same cool gun and everything, and Duke had to ruin it by selling all of them.
X Adam 1 says, yes, it's called the Maricel for mid-infrared advanced chemical laser, is operated by the Army. It shoots down rockets. Okay, do you remember what was the name of that movie? Like not Real Science, but True Genius. True Genius. You remember that movie?
Vaguely, yeah.
Oh, great movie. Fucking really good movie. Val Kilmer back in the day when he was young, and I forget the name of the other actor and shit, but the whole point, they're like these like MIT students who were developing new laser technology that would be used by the government to shoot down. Like they were doing that in the fucking movies in the 80s. And like you're gonna say like, oh yeah, they can't have space lasers today that can do this kind of shit. And then the other thing is like, what was it, like a month or two ago? It was like a couple months ago. There were lasers over Hawaii. There were Chinese lasers over Hawaii. Do you guys remember this?
Oh yeah, the green ones, yeah.
Yeah, the green, and it was like pulsing across the sky, and it turns out it was like, oh, some sort of like
mapping,
pollution monitoring radar laser beam. I don't know what the fuck it was, but it came from space, and it was from a fucking satellite owned by China. And if they have that kind of laser on a fucking thing, then what are the chances that they've got a laser that can start a fire? I'm just saying. I'm not saying that they do.
Yeah, no.
I'm just saying that it's within the fucking realm of goddamn possibilities.
Now, I fully believe the government has far more technological stuff that we know nothing about. Even if we have like a vague idea of something, I'm sure they already have it, perfected and even more advanced than we could dream of. Because they're always working on this shit. Money's always being spent and allocated to different stuff. Has been for decades upon decades, and we don't know where all that money's truly going because it's top secret. It's classified.
Oh, and let's not forget the day before 9/11, the Rumsfeld, I think it was, got on TV and was like, "Oh, by the way, everybody, I know that the national debt's currently like $2.5 trillion, but let's not mention that. Never mind. I didn't say that part. We're actually missing like $2.3 trillion from the Pentagon. I don't know like what happened, but like we spent $2.3 trillion and we don't know where it went, and we don't know, like we don't have the receipts or whatever. So we're gonna investigate that." And then the very next day, boom, Pentagon hit by a fucking airplane or whatever the fuck, a jet hit it
Mhm.
in the exact same spot where they were doing the investigation, where they had all the papers and stuff, and then you never heard anything about it ever again. Ever.
Yeah, same with the Twin Towers, where they had a lot of the information and paperwork.
Yeah, and Operation Northwoods, that's not a thing. Don't worry about that. Don't look that up either.
Yeah, it's fucking terrifying.
What's that?
I said it's fucking terrifying.
Certainly terrifying where we're going in this country, dude.
Yep.
Like, Agenda 2030, you will own nothing and you will be happy. Like, we're getting
Mhm.
closer and closer to that. And it's getting to the point where it's like, oh, you're not meeting your bills, put it on the credit card. Okay, your credit cards are getting maxed out, start selling shit. Oh, no one wants to buy shit because everyone else is broke too, so your shit is worse shit. Your credit card debt's going up. Your interest rates are going to be hiked up. You can't buy a house if you don't already have one. Your job's not paying you anymore. Groceries are more every week. Gas is more every week. Fucking everything costs more all the time, constantly. Everyone's plotting to fucking, like, they're out. The billionaires are building fucking goddamn like bunkers and shit under the ground. Millionaires are getting out of the big cities and buying up pieces of land in the middle of nowhere to get away from everything. Like, people like us are, have been known about this shit forever, but it's not like we can get away from everything. So what do? You buy guns and food and stuff, the things you can actually buy right now. So we're all doing that. Meanwhile, like the fucking elites out there probably planning on fucking blowing everybody up to smithereens because, reasons. Satan. I don't know. Brian Dunlap dropped in $10. Thanks, man. Really appreciate it. Fucking. By the way, super chats are very welcomed. Very welcomed right now. Money's a tight bitch when the kids go back to school, which they're going back to school. This is their last day of summer right now. One kid's
sucks.
off at a church group thing. The other kid's off at a friend's thing for dinner. So I've got the house to myself right now. But yeah, school's on tomorrow, and that's that. But anyway, Brian Dunlop dropped in $10. Says the elites buy up all the burned up land now. They have a new Epstein Island. It's a big ass island. That'd be the biggest ever Epstein Island. Because it was on the main island, wasn't it?
Yep.
Yeah, big ass city though, man. I mean, has there ever been a fucking city that just burned up for no reason other than, just a wildfire or whatever? I can't think of it. I mean, I know like we bombed the fuck out of Japan. We firebombed like Tokyo, right? And at the time, Tokyo was basically made of like bamboo and wood and shit and paper. And so when we firebombed it, the whole fucking city burned up.
Right.
But
I can't recall anything like this happening to this magnitude. So
No, it's historic.
And
like,
it just seems like most people are glossing over all this, like, oh, nothing to see here. You know, we don't want to dive in to actually see what really happened. If something really happened, we're just going to blindly, you know, just listen to whatever people spew out of their mouths, whether it be mainstream media or the government, and we'll be fine. Nothing to see here, folks.
I mean, the fucked up part is a lot of people were just like sitting in their house. I don't know what time of day or night. Like, does anyone know what time of day this shit happened when the fire blew through?
I don't know.
But I mean,
know
I
the people
assume
are.
that they're awake and just sitting in their house, just chilling, and all of
Yeah,
a sudden, the fucking fire's there, and it's already too late. You know,
one of the videos I saw, she looked like she was a native Hawaiian, and she was talking about how they had no warning at all. There was no sirens, no nothing. And according to the local law enforcement, they did one drive-by through the neighborhoods, I guess, trying to tell some people. But and she goes on to say, "You remember when that nuke scare happened, where everybody got text at once saying that there was a nuclear strike fixing to happen, or some aerial strike, I think." But we had that. So where was that during this right here? Why didn't we have any warning? And that a lot of kids were, or the death toll that they're expecting to have more kids, because a lot of kids were home by themselves because their parents were working or whatever. So there's a lot of kids that were just in the house and had no warning to run,
dude.
hide,
Again,
or
what
anything.
time of day did this shit happen?
I imagine it was probably anywhere from early morning to mid afternoon. I personally haven't heard a exact timeline. I don't think we really know yet.
Well, I mean, it fucking matters because if it's like early ass in the morning, a lot of people are asleep, and it makes sense that like fire sweeps through, no alarms happen, you burn up, you're dead. That's it. It's
Hmm.
the middle of the day. You know what? Like that makes a little bit of a difference, but I don't know. Like even then, like there's old people, there's people who have disabilities, there's like people who are just not paying attention. That's a huge one, right? People just got their head in their phone or whatever.
Hmm.
But the smoke outside or whatever, like, they don't see that. And then fucking shit happens and it's too late because the wind's blowing hard. There was like hurricane force winds on top of everything. And it sent the fucking fire just through. And now it's too late. You can't get away. Your car's burned up. There was a story about these kids who fucking hopped in the ocean and waited in water in the ocean for like 4 or 5 hours while they just watched everything burn. You know what I mean?
Hmm. Yep, I've heard
There's
that too.
video of that too, of families doing that.
I mean, I guess that's what you do, bro. I mean, you got the ocean right there. You just fucking swim for a while if you can.
Well, it's almost like reefs that they were standing on out there too. Yeah, this happened around 4:30 in the afternoon.
Shit, man, everybody's dropping in super chats. Thanks, guys. Jesus Christ. Tom F dropped in $10 and just dropped in $10. But thank you, Tom. I really appreciate it.
That's
MSB dropped in $20. Holy fuck. Says, hey, keep this no matter what, but we are okay, meaning you, Corey, and me. I sent you all a message a few weeks ago and not sure they ever got there. Apologies again for the remark out of context pre-surgery. I think you're okay.
Wait, what?
I don't think anyone was mad at you, dude. Honestly, at any point. I think if you said anything, it was taken as a joke. I mean, certainly if Corey's got anyone to be mad at, it's me because I'm a dickhead, Like we get in arguments about like 6,000 years versus 6 billion or whatever, and everyone's all heated and shit about it.
Takes a lot to piss me off to where I really lose my temper or fly off the handle. I mean, look, in Discord, what was it, a week ago? I was threatening to have my ass beat.
Oh, from couple that dude, what was that about anyway? Why was he wanting to like fight everybody?
He was only wanting to fight me because he was bitching at you for a comment you made over Mr. Dipshit that likes to ban everybody and being a welder, $30 an hour.
Mr. F and H, because he's a welder and he thinks that he's like something special. Because I mean, there's nothing against welders, but like
yeah, he just thought you were
fucking welders. That's all.
Entire industry that like builds help build America and all that crap. And all I told him was basically, you don't know the entire situation, so why, talk shit when you don't know what's going on? And then from there, he like blew the fuck up. But he was trying to piss me off, and I was like, "It's okay, Cupcake," or Pookie, or just doing different shit to keep pissing him off because I was laughing. And he's like, "I'll fly you here, all expense paid, and whoop your ass. My mom's a nurse, and you'll get free health care." Blah blah. I'm like, shut the fuck up, dude.
I mean, anything I said about welders was just to piss F and H off. Like, honestly.
Exactly. Exactly. He knew not he didn't know the situation, the background on it, and just chose to start talking shit.
Yeah, anyway, I think you're good, man. I don't think anyone was upset at you at any point, MSB. Good sir. So
No.
And Simple Dan dropped in 5 and says Reagan had a program called Star Wars. It had lasers and also solar panels in space can soak up a whole lot of energy. Quote, Ronnie Reagan. It's true.
Yeah.
And that's the whole thing. Like, there was programs going back since the 80s that use lasers in space, and now like it might come out next week that a cow kicked over a fucking lantern, and that's what started the fire, or a fucking like a telephone pole got knocked over or whatever. But the fact is that in 2023, when a giant fire happens and burns down a whole city, the options are cow or telephone pole or space laser. Like, these are all in my mind probably about equally possible outcomes as far as how it went down.
Yeah. Have you seen some of the pictures and stuff coming out of Maui? It doesn't look like it was a typical fire. Like, you see a whole bunch of destroyed fucking cars that obviously been through a fire, but there's houses next to them that are untouched.
Yeah, that does happen though sometimes for whatever reason in fires. And I don't know, like maybe there's something to that, but I know of other fires where that's happened and people are like, "What in the hell?" Like, I don't know, like there was a Catholic church that was untouched in the whole thing.
Yep.
I saw that
in the middle
too.
of it.
Yep.
So people are saying like, "Oh, God came down and like saved the church." I'm like, "Well, I mean, it's a Catholic church, so."
Technically, it would be archangel protection.
Yeah, you need Mother Mary for that, right? Like, pray to your idols, heathens. Anyway, Josh T dropped in $2 and said UFC match 295, E Honda versus F and H. Dude, we'll do a triple header. We'll do F and H and E Honda, and we'll do Corey and fucking couple that shoots. And we'll do Never Enough Ammo and what's that dude's name with the Hunans?
Hank Strange.
Oh,
Hank Strange.
That'd be funny. That'd be funny.
That's the main event. That's the main event, of course.
Stephen D said, "Brad, beat your 3 nipples into 1." Stephen, don't threaten me with a good time. Sounds fun.
X Adam was, I don't know. You said the same thing about trains crashing and food warehouses burning. I was at one of those places the day it burned. Simple thing, but everyone had a tinfoil hat on. I'm saying, like, every time this happens, and maybe it is, like, maybe there is, like, fucking tinfoil hat shit happening every single time there's a fire.
Mm-hmm.
But you gotta think at least, like, one of these is legitimate here and there, right? Like, fires happen, right? Trains crash.
I just find it suspicious, the Hawaiian governor was talking about 15-minute cities and shit a while back, and then all of a sudden this happens, and it basically paves the way for them to do it without resistance. Because I heard to put this one way, you have to destroy a city in order to rebuild it up into a 15-minute city like they want. Because if you try to do it without doing that, you got all the people there, the residents and all the local business owners and stuff. They're gonna fight this because they're not gonna want to be told what to do, how to do, all these rules and regulations, and get in trouble if they, don't toe the company line.
Right, and you could build
So
a 15-minute city out in the middle of nowhere or whatever, where it's like the land's cheap and plentiful and available or whatever,
mhm.
But then who's going to want to live there? You just built a fucking... But hey, it's in the middle of Hawaii, like right on the beach, beachfront property. People pay thousands of dollars from, all over the world to come here and take vacations and be at these beaches. Makes sense in a way.
Yeah, and in Maui, like the most traveled to island in the chain of islands. Like instead of going actually to Hawaii, they rather go to Maui. That's like it's more a
Well, there's more to do.
tourist.
It's a bigger island. There's, more. Like, if you go to Kauai and you spend a week on Kauai, the island of Kauai, by the end of 7 days, you've basically seen the entire island.
Right.
I mean, not entirely. There's always something you probably missed or whatever, but you've basically fucking seen the entire fucking island. Anywhere you go from now on, it's like, oh yeah, that's by the place that we already went to like Wednesday or whatever, It's like, but yeah, like you go to Maui, it's pretty big island, pretty freaking big. Ghost Shadow says old houses had asbestos siding and shingles. Asbestos is very fire resistant. Do you know what else has asbestos in it? Do you guys know what has asbestos in it? That is a commonly used household item that
Baby
was
powder?
used. Yes, very good, Corey. Very good. Because they use talc. They use talcum powder to make baby powder.
Yeah, that's where the whole commercials for mesothelioma originally came about, was because of all the cancers coming from people using baby powder.
I thought that was the commercials for mesothelioma were for people who lived in houses that had asbestos.
Well, yeah, that too.
Insulation.
But they also talk about the powder as well.
Because they still had so like they had for years it was illegal to build buildings with asbestos, right?
Right.
It was like 1979 or something like that. You couldn't build a building with asbestos anymore. Period. Done. You can still live in them, I guess. You can still have them. We're not going to like destroy all of them right now, but you can't use it for a building material anymore.
Right.
In 1995 or whatever, when my niece and nephew were babies, my sister would put baby powder all over them. Like, they were still using that shit for decades. You know what I mean?
Yep, I know.
Like, you don't really see it. Like, is it still at the store right now? Can you get baby powder?
Oh yeah, you can still get baby powder. I think they had to pull it off and like redo the quote unquote the formula, but yeah, you can still find powder.
Well, it turns out it's basically impossible to get all the fucking asbestos out of talc. That's like where asbestos comes from, right?
Mm-hmm.
So in order to mechanically separate all of the asbestos out of it is like way fucking expensive, and there's no other way to do it. So they like do like a half-ass job, and then they test their own product to self-report as to the asbestos level in their own baby powder, and then put it on the fucking shelf and sell it to you.
Have you ever seen how they do like the remodeling if they know for a fact that a house has asbestos in it from old housing? They actually have to like tint and tarp it off, and when they tear down everything that was the whole house, like the interior, they have to take it down to the studs, and they just carry the shit off in big bags and everything. It's got to be like a quarantined off area, even to do simple remodeling.
Little known fact: Twin Towers. Again, we're going to talk about 9/11 because it's my goddamn chat and I can do what I want. Twin Towers were set to be demolished before they signed a 100-year lease under Larry Silverstein, right? And they were talking about, well, what would be the cost of demolishing these buildings and rebuilding them versus tearing them apart, taking out the asbestos and rebuilding them, right? And they
Right.
found that it's actually cheaper to destroy the building and rebuild it than it is to get rid of the asbestos. So they were coming up with plans as to, okay, like how are we going to do this? How much is it going to cost? It's going to be billions and billions of dollars to get this done. Fuck. Oh, thankfully, some Arabs just hit these buildings with the planes and they fell down into their own footprint. Problem solved, everybody. No worries. Oh, by the way, can I get my check for that fucking terrorist clause on my insurance plan?
Didn't he
That'd be great.
amend or like change the policy right before 9/11 happened?
He signed it. It was right before. So, like, he just signed his 99-year lease. I think it was like 4 months before 9/11 happened. So he'd paid basically 4 payments of insurance and rent for the building when it got destroyed, and then claimed not one but 2 acts of terrorism. So he had like $1 billion terrorist clause, basically, that
Yeah,
if
he
one or
made a
both of
shit
the
ton of
buildings
money.
fell down because of an act of terrorism, that he'd get paid out $1 billion. But then he argued that since there were 2 planes that hit the 2 buildings, it was technically 2 separate acts of terrorism and double dipped. And they didn't
Yep.
give him all of it, but I think they gave him $1.3 billion. It was the biggest insurance settlement ever.
Yep. And we're supposed to believe that Building 7, fell because of debris from the other ones. Sure.
Yeah, when building 3 was right next to it, had half of the building fall down on top of it and was still standing at the end.
Yeah, but Building 7 just miraculously just, caves in on its own footprint, just like, Towers 1 and 2 did. Nothing to see here. Nothing funky. It's all very suspicious. And we may never know the truth. That's a sad thing.
Go Shadow says talcum powder is a different mineral than asbestos. Raw natural asbestos looks and feels like soapstone. I think the deal is that they form either next to each other or on top of each other or whatever, adjacent to each other. And so when you mine for talc, you end up getting asbestos in your talc. And then you have to go through and like test it and mechanically separate it to get it out. That was my understanding. I could be wrong, but that was my understanding of how that works.
Fucking Mark Malone.
Sup, Kaloon? How you doing, man? Steve D says, if E Honda says jet fuel can't melt steel, I'm going to nuke the channel. Well, I just said that by reading your chat. I mean, they can soften steel. They can get it hot. They can get it red hot to the point where it doesn't have its, like structural integrity to hold things together and hold things up.
Yeah,
But can it melt it? Can it melt it into liquid steel?
The thing is, if that were to happen, let's just say that it heated the point up to where it was red hot, would it not bend and then therefore the building fall over? Not
but the
just
point
come
is,
down in a perfect footprint.
like, why is liquid melted steel the standard? Like, why is that such a big deal? Because it was eyewitness reported to be there on scene, and it was dug up by fucking by workers weeks after. When they were digging in, they'd find fucking pockets of liquid steel, and they'd have to fucking pour water on it to cool it down so they could dig it out. So why is that the standard? Because literally there was liquid steel. So if it can't get hot enough to melt steel to liquid, not just soften it. Like, I'm not saying it can't soften it. I'm saying it absolutely does soften it. But can it melt it? No.
Thermite can.
Remember the dancing Israelis? I do remember the dancing Israelis who just happened to have film equipment on a top of a building that was close enough to see everything but far enough away to be safe. Weird. Yeah. coal can't melt steel unless is in a coal forge, you dumb Coloradan. Yeah, that's true. Was it a jet fuel forge? Whatever, dude. It's cool.
That's funny.
Steve D's upset. I mean, make a video. That's what you should do. If you really think that it can melt steel, then what you should do is pour some liquid jet fuel on some steel and light it on fire. And then start a timer and see how long it takes for the jet fuel to melt the steel.
I don't know if you remember this, but I remember seeing quite a few videos of coming out after 9/11 happened, where it was everyday like metal workers and welders and different people that worked around metal constantly came out debunking all that shit. Do you remember those videos where they're saying that the jet fuel couldn't melt the steel beams like they claimed?
I don't know about that, but I do remember the day of 9/11, right? Watching this shit on TV, watching explosion after explosion after explosion after explosion after explosion, literally. Them talking about these crazy explosions that are happening behind them again and again and again. And then a huge explosion in one building comes down, and then more explosions happen, and then another huge explosion, and the second building comes down, right? And that was all they were talking about. It was like, oh my God, another explosion behind me, explosions, blah, blah, blah. Well, there was another explosion. And there was this, and I remember seeing this the day of 9/11. There were terrorists that were caught with explosives on, I forget what bridge it was, but they were caught at the bridge by the NYPD. So they were apprehended. And I don't know whatever happened to those people, but they caught some people with some explosives, or they just caught the explosives. I'm not sure which, right? And like the next day, I'm like, okay, like let's find out about all of these explosions. Let's find out about like what like did they find these bombs inside of the buildings and the debris yet? Like, have they found anything? And they never talked about it again on mainstream media. They never mentioned it again, not once, not even one time. Were they like, oh yeah, by the way, when we were talking about all those explosions yesterday, what it was actually was this. Nope. They just never even fucking broached it, never mentioned it, never talked about it, never cared about it. Nothing.
Yep, and you can also see when they replayed all the videos and everything right before the buildings came down, how on, floors, gap floors, as you see miniature puffs of smoke because of, explosives going off. And I'm sure that's probably what the people heard reporting there. That's why we say it was a, controlled demolition, because you could actually see the little puffs of smoke, the little explosions, and then the building just comes down on its own footprint.
Ghost Shadow says failure of the Twin Towers was they used iron and mild steel rivets that fail and fairly low temperatures. Original plan called for the joints to be welded to save money. They used rivets. Now, I don't know about that one way or another, but I will say that the way that the buildings fell down wasn't the pancake theory that they put forward, because the official 9/11 Commission report theory of how the buildings failed was that like each floor is held up by these pillars or whatever, and the pillars broke, and then one floor fell on top of the other, on top of the other, on top of the other, and pancaked all the way down, right? Well, if that were true, there would be a whole stack of pancaked floors near or close to the bottom, or falling over at the bottom, or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
But no, everything was demolished to powder. I mean, there was chunks of concrete left over or whatever, but much of the volume of the steel and the concrete was turned to dust. And then there's been studies where people look at the dust, right? They take the dust from 9/11 in New York City and Ground Zero, right? And they take it and they put it under a microscope. And what they find is microspherules of steel, like iron spherules. And Not saying that it was, but one thing that causes iron spherules to form is thermite. When thermite burns, it's basically it's if I know correctly what it is, I believe it's iron oxide. So you take basically rust and aluminum powder, and then maybe a little bit of sulfur or something else, and then fucking heat it up. And then once it starts burning, it fucking burns, and it burns like way hotter than steel, and it can melt steel. Like that's how they used it in World War II to take out tanks, right? Like they'd have these like stick-on fucking thing, and you put it on a tank, and then it would burn the fucking shit through the tank and take it, or like big ass guns is what it was. Sorry, so like there were these German guns that nothing could take out, and so they put thermite on them and burned through the fucking guns and took them out. You drop a bomb right on it and fucking bounce off, you know. Steve D says, "Oh, now Honda believes the news." No, I believe that the people who were on scene the day of 9/11, reporting on the scene, reacting to explosions behind them, were having genuine reactions to the explosions behind them. And the fact that they weren't talking about it the next day says something. Anyway, man, Steve D's upset. Calhoun says, "Let me just point out the truck bomb and the Oklahoma City bombing couldn't possibly physically do the amount of damage to the building by itself." I have heard this, and I'm not an expert's explosive. I mean, it seems to me a truck full of ammonium nitrate blown up in front of a federal building would do a bunch of fucking damage. Does it match exactly? I mean, I don't fucking know, dude. I don't know. Maybe it's right. Maybe what happened is the true story. I don't know. I'm not sure.
That's really where Alex Jones got started, was because he didn't believe the OKC bombing and how it went down.
Yeah, and I didn't know about Alex Jones until it was after Waco. Like Waco was the big thing for me, man. Because when Waco happened, I was 100% like, oh, if the news says this, then it's true. If my teacher says this, then it's true. If the government says this, then it's true. And that was my first time where I was like, oh, these people are fanatics and they deserve to get burnt. And then like after it happened, I was like, wait a minute. That didn't feel right. Like, let me look more into this. And then I found Alex Jones back then because he was on his radio show funding building a new church on the site on Mount Carmel or whatever it was in Waco. So he helped build them a church. Like he built the Branch Davidians a church. Doesn't get any credit for that, by the way. Like the federal government comes in and blows up a fucking religious organization and everyone inside of the building, like 70 people, how many of them were children, burned in a fire to death, machine gunned to death, sniped to death, whatever it was that many of them died from, right?
Right.
And no one gives a fuck. Alex Jones comes in and builds them a church. And he's a demon. He's the demon. He's the devil in most people's eyes, you know? See, Ruby Ridge was another big one too, honestly. Like Ruby Ridge, but I wasn't aware of what was going on at that point. Like later I became aware of Ruby Ridge, but what had happened, I didn't know about it.
I did. Did you ever watch the movie that they, or the TV miniseries that they did with Randy Quaid?
No, I don't know. Maybe.
We're only a couple weeks away from the 31st anniversary of Ruby Ridge at this point.
It's crazy.
Ghost Shadow says, FYI, thermite charges are made from iron and aluminum oxide. I got it backwards. I said iron oxide and aluminum. Mixing the two together does not make the thermite. There is more to it. Fair enough. Fair enough. They started using shape charges. You were confusing them with thermite. I'm pretty sure they used thermite in World War II to take out fucking some gun. It was a German fucking gun that was on the rail. Like they had those rail guns, that were on the train tracks or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And they used thermite. They packed thermite on top of it and lit it and ran, and it burned through the fucking barrel. It was like fucking 12-inch thick fucking barrel wall on this motherfucker. Donnie says, documentary about Ruby Ridge with the daughter is the best one. I agree. I don't know the name of that one. I've seen exactly what you're talking about, though, where the daughter's like 18 or 20 or whatever and all grown up. And like they're talking about their mom and stuff and driving around and doing. Yeah, that's a really good documentary. Because it really gives the point of view from the family, which I honestly I think is the important point of view. Because fuck the fucking government.
Mm-hmm.
Like in that whole situation, they were the bad guy from beginning to end.
Yep. The government.
Because what did they do?
Trapped that man and
they went to the guy who was peacefully trying to get away from the government and got to the middle of nowhere with his family, and like targeted him, got him to do something illegal. And then tried to, because he did something illegal, use him as an informant against a group of white nationalists who were adjacently placed next to them in the woods or whatever. And if he didn't do it, which he decided that he didn't want to fucking inform on anybody because fuck the fucking government, that they can fuck themselves. And yeah, so then they started coming after him. Yeah, you guys know the fucking story. They're bad from beginning to end. And they started it and they fucking finished it, didn't they?
Yep. And didn't he get like $1 million or so for each of his family members that were murdered?
I'm not sure how much they got, but whatever it wasn't enough.
Oh God, no, it wasn't enough. But I think I remember hearing it was about $1 million or so per member.
Calhoun says, I'm pretty sure they started using thermite in World War II. They make thermite grenades now. You can throw it in a cannon / tank barrel, and it will fill the breach with slag and melt it a bit. That's kind of cool. Ghost Shadow says the new Russian RPG-9 with shape charge can punch a hole through 14 inches of steel. That's badass. Although it turns out the most fucking useful weapon is a drone with a grenade on it or whatever. Dude, some of those videos are nuts, man. Where it's just like fuck being a soldier over there, by the way. Like, do you remember when the shit first popped off and like Nancy Pelosi, or I forget who it was on TV, and she was like, if you guys want to join up and well, you can go over there. I forget how they said it exactly, but they were implying like, hey, if you want to fucking go to Ukraine and shoot Russians, we'll let you, And a bunch of people were like, hell yeah, let's do it, including James Yeager. Wasn't James Yeager going to go over there?
Yeah, supposedly before he died, he was actually, quote unquote, over there, training. I don't think he actually ever made it over there. But yeah, I know he wanted to.
What did he die of? Like Parkinson's or something?
Something like that.
I think
don't
it was Lou
remember.
Gehrig's disease.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's exactly what it was. Yeah.
Yeah, ALS.
ALS. How do you get that shit? You just born with it?
I think it develops over time like Parkinson's does.
Yeah, but how? Like, do you have to fucking...
I think it's like an anomaly or something in your DNA or something.
Yeah, it's hereditary.
So you are born with it. Okay. All right. I mean, like, could you catch it? No, that was my question.
No.
It was like they're like some kind of like smelling salt that you smell. Now you have ALS. That would suck.
Yes,
like,
that's exactly
poof,
how it is.
ALS, bitch. Oh, I smelled it too. No. The sound of a drone will be the flashback trigger from now on. Gone are the chopper rotor sounds of yesteryear, Lamau. I used to work with this Vietnam vet at a breakfast food place named Dean. His name was Dean. And Dean was an interesting guy. He'd always have something to say. He was, like, he wasn't the nicest guy all the time, but, neither was I, so we kind of got along. And one day, someone dropped a plate. There's a loud crash bang, and Dean hits the deck and doesn't get up for about 5 minutes. And it became very apparent in that 5 minutes that Dean had some unresolved issues. And apparently, Dean had been in 2 different helicopter crashes. Like, he'd been in 2 different helicopters while they got shot down and managed to live through both crashes.
Jesus.
God damn, dude. He's a cool guy.
I think I'd have been done getting in helicopters after that permanently.
Yeah, I think he was too. I think that was the deal. Like, no more helicopters, thank you. But I think at a point, like, that's, it's helicopters or stay here in the jungle,
Yep.
Jaeger did make it to Ukraine, but wasn't there long, as already said, it was ALS that got him. I mean, as much as, like, he was a controversial figure or whatever, he was a good guy. I didn't think that he was a bad guy,
He wasn't that good of an actor, I can tell you that.
Yeah. Did you see him in that episode of whatever TV show what that was, where they would take old, like, Army and Navy people or whatever and pit them against each other in a fucking obstacle course? I don't know the name of the show.
You talking about like Forgotten Weapons or something?
No. It was like a TV show back in the day. TV. I don't know if YouTube was even a thing yet, or if it was brand new. James Yeager was one of the people on the show, and the whole show was like obstacle course of things that you have to go through. And James Yeager sucked ass, but he like finished no matter what, like the other guy already finished. And they were like, all right, it's over. And he was like, no, it's not. I'm going to finish the course. And fucking like 5 minutes later, they're like, all right, he's finally done. Jesus Christ. Like, you could have just like walked off to the side. You lost, buddy. Yeah, he fucking sucks. But he finished. He finished even though he sucked. So people liked him.
Yeah. I know he was in a movie. Oh, fuck. It was like a zombie apocalyptic type
It's a
movie.
vampire movie. It's called Daylight's End.
Daylight's End. It was vampires. That was actually filmed in Texas, or at least part of it was filmed in Texas, right down the road from me.
A lot of people give that movie shit, but it had a lot of cool guns in that movie.
I thought it was a decent movie. It's worth to watch at least one time, but where my wife works, some of her coworkers that lived in that area said that they thought a war broke out or something because of all the gunfire and loud noises coming. They thought something was going on. Then it felt like, oh, it's a movie being made.
That's one of the only movies I know about that ever used the Kel-Tec shotgun.
MSB says, was it one man army? That might have been it. I'm not sure. It was something like that. But yeah, like, he was definitely on a TV show before he was internet famous,
Mm-hmm.
It's an autoimmune disease. Dude, those autoimmune diseases are weird. Like, I can't remember the name of all of, like, lupus. Like, what is lupus? First of all, no one knows unless you have it, in which case, like, everything is lupus. It's like, why are you tired? Lupus. Why does it hurt? Lupus. Why? Like, everything is lupus, and that's what lupus is. If you have lupus, like, it's the cause of and solution to all of your problems is lupus. But they can't figure out how to solve it because it's an autoimmune disease. And if you have an autoimmune disease, it's like, well, your body is trying to kill itself, so there's nothing we can do.
Mm-hmm.
Which is kind of fucked up, dude. Like, I can see, like, okay, like, you have, like, knee surgery or something, but they take part of a cadaver, like a dead person, and put the dead person's knee in your knee. And then your body's like, hey, motherfucker, this is a foreign object. We don't recognize this shit, and start attacking your fake knee. Like, that makes sense. But your body being like, hey, liver, I don't know who you are anymore. White blood cells, go.
Form up. White blood cells roll out.
I mean, the thing is, like, cancer and a bunch of things are like you create cancer cells in your body every single day. Like every single day, there is a mutation in the splitting of a cell somewhere inside of your body, and your body says, "Oh fuck," and deletes that shit real quick, and it's not a big deal. It happens all the fucking time. But every now and again, for whatever reason, that mutation happens, and your body is either too weak to say, "Oh fuck," and kill it, or it's got some way of saying like, no, everything's fine here. We're all fine here. How are you? And then your body lets it go. So,
And now the government wants you to eat cancer cells, aka lab-grown meat. Yum.
so there's, I forget what year it was exactly, but there was, I think back in the 1970s, there was a cancer patient who came in and they did a biopsy on his fucking tumor. And they found that it was like the fastest growing thing they'd ever seen. And the guy shortly after died, but his tumor lived on, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they still have this tumor alive today. It's like fucking 80 years old or whatever, you know, like if you count the age of the dude who grew the tumor in the first place. It's like outlived the host. Won't
Dang.
die. I mean, they keep feeding it and keeping it moist or whatever, putting it in petri dishes or whatever you do to keep a tumor alive. But it's basically a zombie, dude. Like that's like the zombie. Like, that's how they create the T virus. They get these fucking
Apparently.
cancer cells that won't die and figure out what makes it fucking tick and give it to everybody, and then now you're a zombie.
So hopefully that means we'll get the zombie apocalypse soon.
I don't know, man. Is that preferable? Like, okay, like Gozar the Carpathian comes down and says, choose the form of your destruction. What do you choose?
What are the choices?
The form of your destruction, the form of the destruction of the world. Is it zombies? Is it nukes? Is it fucking, aliens coming down? Is it like pestilence?
Personally, I'd rather choose zombies just because, they're, going to be easy to kill. They may get a portion of the population, but there's no damn way it's going to get all of them unless they're like World War Z zombies and they're fucking running at, Usain Bolt speed, coming after your ass.
I don't feel like zombies should be able to run that fast.
No,
Like,
they
if you,
wouldn't.
die and your body's reanimated. You got to imagine like the reanimation process probably makes you like not as strong as you were, not as fast.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know.
But on the other hand, a nuke would be instantaneous death, so you wouldn't feel it.
Not necessarily. Because think about Hiroshima and Nagasaki, right?
Yeah.
There were people who were like really close who burned up basically instantaneously. Then there were people who were like just outside of that who died painfully on the street within the next hour. And then there were people who were just outside of that who died within 24 hours. Painfully, terribly. And then there were a bunch of people outside of that that took like a week to die. And then there were a bunch of people who, you know what I mean? Like a whole fucking bunch of people died from that shit that didn't burn up right away. In fact, I think the number of people that burned up right away was like 1/10 of the total number of people who died.
I was just meaning in my general vicinity, so it would be instantaneous.
If you're like holding a nuke and it goes off, that'd be the way. I don't know. Like, could you even feel it? I guess the way would be at the bottom of the ocean. Like, the way that those dudes died, like, looking at the Titanic. There's all these simulations. I don't know if they're just trying to make the family feel better or whatever. They're like, it takes 0.3 milliseconds for light to travel from the eye to the brain for you to recognize it. And they died in 0.2 milliseconds. So they didn't even see what happened that killed them. It's like, Jesus. Like, how do you know that? Show me the study where you put people in a fucking tube and, like, pump them full of that much pressure and then counted how many milliseconds it was till their brain stopped working. So I don't know that it works like that. I think that even if you fucking got like, I don't know, instantly fucking combusted with pressure like that, your brain's still gonna think something for like a second, right?
Yeah, maybe. But how long would you like honestly, how much of the population, if a zombie outbreak were to happen right now, would it take out?
In America?
Worldwide, or let's just say America first.
Well, because the thing about America is I think at least 10% of the population has one or more guns in the house. So I don't think zombies are really a threat here.
Well, it's going to get some people. It's going to get the, like, sad to say, it's going to get old people, young people, disabled people.
I mean, I think that the way that zombies get you is with like your son dies and then turns into a zombie while you're holding him,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So don't let your kids go play at the park. Get scratched by a woodpecker.
But yeah, all the zombie movies, they say it like decimated 90% of the world population. I don't see that actually happening.
Well, it
No,
also
I mean
depends.
not in America. I mean, I always thought like zombie apocalypse it's an analogous. It's a way to substitute like millions of people dying of like a slow, painful disease and like out on the streets looking for food and supplies and medicine. And like you have to stay away from them, otherwise you're going to have that disease too. So they're trying to get into your house and steal your food because they're starving, but they're also dying. And if they get into the house or touch you or scratch you or cough on you or whatever, then you're going to catch it too. So you're going to stand on top of your roof and shoot person after person after person because they're not zombies. They're just sick.
So the Koreans had it right then, the Rift Koreans?
I think so. Bring a 1022.
I was going to say it also depends on the actual method of dispersal, because if it's a bite or if it could be potentially like a cough or something.
True, but I'm talking
Sexually
about like
transmitted.
standard zombies as a bite. That's how it's transmitted. You get bit, you're fucked.
Yeah, it would
No, it's
definitely be a
gonna be
smaller percentage for sure.
No, it's going to be an STD virus.
But then again, are we talking about, like, it depends on what kind of zombies we're talking about. Are we talking about like Walking Dead zombies, or are you talking about like the quote unquote like rage humans from 28 Days Later that weren't really zombies, but they were more just raging out?
No,
Hopefully, it's Walking Dead zombies.
exactly. Because if you think about it logically, when you die, everything's dead. If you're reanimated, you're not going to come back superhuman unless it's that type of virus, which I don't think it would be. Your brain capacity, like in Walking Dead, when they explain, only a portion of you come back, and it's just enough to reanimate the body to move around. So I don't foresee it being where you have superhuman strength where you can just rip open human flesh.
X Adam 1 says, I always thought that everyone knew that the whole zombie attack, quote, zombie attack, was a metaphor for the sheeple of the world just doing what they're told, attacking everyone who doesn't as the enemy. That could be too, like, okay, let's say there's a breakdown of society, right? And people who have prepared have food and guns and stuff, and they're in their houses, and they've got water and fuel and everything else, medicine that they need. And then the general population, these zombies, are out on the streets in mass, looting and pillaging and robbing and stealing and killing and raping and murdering and blah, blah, blah. That could be too.
True.
But that never happened. Not in real life.
No.
The Bazook says, hey, Han, did you ever get a motorcycle? Yes, I did. Just got a 50cc scooter / moped, and it's fucking sick, bro. That's cool, dude. That's awesome. Yeah, actually, was riding the fuck out of it yesterday. Decided to pull over. I'm so mad at myself. I decided to pull over and, like, the area that I pulled over was like off the road, kind of like a down step and rocky area on the side of the road.
Mm-hmm.
And my first tire goes off of the edge, and I was like, oh, I'm a little off balance. Let me put my foot down. But my back tire hadn't gone off yet, so I couldn't reach the ground, and I fucking tipped the bike over.
Oh.
It's not a big deal. It's scratched on the place it already had scratches. Now it just has deeper scratches.
Well, you had to christen it at least one time.
Yeah, exactly. And it just fell over. It's not like I was going 0 miles an hour. You know, it wasn't a big deal.
Yeah, it's kind of like a knife. It's not truly your knife until you cut yourself with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not.
I mean, it's like
laid over.
It's a 500-pound bike, man. Once that thing starts tipping, like you put your foot down to stop yourself, and the ground's not there. It's too late. Like get out of the way.
Yeah.
Which is what I did. I got out of the way and I hit the ground rather hard and picked it up and dusted it off. And I mean, the plastics need a little bit of work now because they're a little cattywampus ever so slightly. So I got to take them off and figure out what's bent underneath and straighten it out and put them back on. But they're fine. There's nothing wrong with it. The bike's fine. And I'm fine. So we're all fine here. How are you?
Good and you?
Yes.
I think of the word toxoplasmosis, a toxic plasma. Toxoplasmosis is cat scratch fever. It's a bacteria that's spread to rats that makes them horny when they smell cat fur. So the rat gets horny when it smells cat fur. And so it's all horny and sitting there, and then the cat eats it, right? And now the cat has fucking toxoplasmosis. And it's like 40% or something like that. Cats have this. Now they scratch you, right? That same bacteria or whatever it is, virus, I think it's a virus, makes it to your brain and it inhibits your decision making. So you end up being more of a risk taker. So they find that people who die on motorcycles often have toxoplasmosis in their brain.
And they were jamming out to that song, Cat Scratch Fever.
It's a parasite? Okay, it's a parasite.
Didn't they say something like in Brazil, a lot of people got some type of parasite. That's why they like to have sex a lot, or something like that. Yeah,
it goes straight to their asses. That's why their asses are all like plump.
Some sort of parasite. I forgot where I heard it from. It was on YouTube. Since it was on YouTube, it has to be true.
Exactly. It was on the internet, on the line.
Not sure.
Somebody in the chat probably know. In fact, I think it was Joe Rogan. I'll think about it.
Go Shadow says, in Alaska, bought a 1978 Honda Hawk for $300. Had both tires blow out on the way home. Didn't crash. Jesus.
Lucky. Did you go buy a lottery ticket after that? I would have.
That damn vampire says, hello all, new viewer to the chat here. Question about what is happening in Hawaii. Does anyone else feel like, I don't know, something is fishy about how no one was warned ahead of time? So the deal was that the cell phone towers burnt down. So like the cell phone towers that would send out fucking like warning texts to people to get the fuck out, that wasn't working. And then wasn't there a siren system too that failed as well?
It had to been the other. They have sirens.
Because I know that like in Hawaii they've got sirens for all kinds of shit. You know, like remember a couple of years back when there was that false siren, there was going to be a nuclear attack, and I think it was Jim Carrey or somebody was there, and they were just like, "Well, it's been a good life," you know, and fucking.
Yeah.
But
I don't know.
yeah, point being, they've got sirens, they've got warnings, they've got all kinds. They've got earthquakes, they've got volcanoes, they've got tsunamis, they've got like their front line of like fucking China attacking. Like they've got all kinds of sirens and shit on that island, all over the place.
Wouldn't
the fact
fire...
that it wasn't working, that is fishy. Sorry, go.
Wouldn't the fire and smoke be a warning sign in the first place?
That link I just dropped in the back chat talked a little bit about the sirens and smoke and everything.
Well,
like
I think
that.
the thing is,
I mean, I know
that-
how fast it spread. I'm just saying, like, I
Right.
don't know. Yeah.
and that's the thing. Like, if you see like a fire a mile away, you're not like, oh, well, that's gonna be bad for me in 5 minutes, and then it's bad for you in 5 minutes. Like, you didn't fucking plant. Like, no one's fucking thinking that shit's gonna spread how it did. You know?
Yeah. That's why
But
I believe it was a direct energy weapon that caused it. That's why there was no warning.
But when you see it, you will know, well, at least I'll have some stuff in my car just to get ready. You know, something like that.
Yeah. If it's a mile away, I'd probably be like, let me
Pack up
get
the car.
kids out of school or something. Yeah.
Just in case.
But then again, if there hasn't been any kind of warning or any, because like usually it's like, oh, you're on evacuation notice. Like, oh, I guess we got to get out of here. Oh no, like get the cat, honey, grab the photo album.
Yeah, that's the problem. Don't rely on government to warn you.
It's true. They like to put themselves forward as the only solution, though, don't they? Like, oh, well,
Yes.
since we didn't warn the people, look how many of them died. So we need to have access to everyone's like GPS position at all times
Yeah.
and the ability to like hear your microphone to know that you can hear us. So we need to like be able to listen in on you so that you know what's going on. So we know that you're safe. So give us all this power. And
Yeah.
that's what the government does and sucks.
Uh-huh. And that's
Because
what
then
they're
people
gonna
rely on it,
that's-
right? Well, because like what happens is like, oh, well, the government has ambulances and they, you know, take people to hospitals and stuff. So that dude dying on the street over there is not my problem. I don't care. Not that I don't
And
care.
it's-
It's just I'm not going to do anything about it because it's someone else's problem.
It's shit like that they're gonna use to entice people into these quote unquote 15-minute cities.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, look how safe you'll be.
And you can use your hand to pay for everything now.
Yeah,
be
and
even
you don't have
safer.
to go far to go. You don't need a car because everything's going to be within 15 minutes. So, you know, healthy
And you'll be
people by
even-
walking.
And you'll be even safer when you give up your guns. Way more safe.
Yeah, because the government will keep you safe because, you know, the government
Yeah.
bats 1,000.
Tactical Hatchet Wound says they have erection spiders in Brazil.
Fuck spiders. All spiders must die.
No, like literally in Brazil, they've got these spiders that if they
I know.
bite you, gives you a priapism.
I know. Trust me.
And then you have to go to a doctor to have your boner go away.
I knew about it before, but someone shared it into the fucking Duke and Corey
Yeah, it was me.
section on Discord. Motherfucker.
I mean, you can go see a doctor. You can just like, you know,
they'll
go
amputate
see
it.
some girls you know or whatever.
Right.
I mean, I guess if you don't know any girls, you got to see a doctor.
I think that particular
then, like-
spider was Australia.
But it also depends what a spider bites you. Now you got a big red bump while you're naked. They're gonna be wondering what the hell is that?
Don't worry, baby. It's just a spider bite.
Yeah.
I heard that shit before.
It gives you elephantitis of the dick as well. So your dick swells as it stays hard.
Ugh.
But the erections are painful from what I
Oh, yeah.
remember. I mean, not that I had it, from what I read. I mean,
Ghost Shadow says,
Yeah, with that Mr. Ferrodian slip, sure. You
Yeah.
had it. Just tell us all about it.
Ghost Shadow says, if there's a fire 10 miles away, I pay attention and have stuff ready to go. Hell, if the fire's 30 miles away, I pay attention. I think the
Exactly.
deal was, though, like, usually it's like, oh, it's on the news. Like, we're looking at the Hayman fire in the woods of Colorado as it spreads. Oh, there's a new evacuation order for this county in this town or whatever, you know, and you're paying close attention to it because you see that it's growing and it's coming. Now it's 10 miles away. Now it's 8 miles away. Shit, it grew 2 more miles closer. But this shit was like from spark to fire to house burnt down in like an hour, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So there wasn't like, I don't think there was time, dude. It wasn't time.
Yeah.
but I think everybody's thinking like we're thinking. Like, if you know you already live on a in a volcanic area, you probably already had bags for years already set ready to go, just in case you gotta leave out quick.
Brian Dunlop says, how long could a Z actually move without blood circulating oxygen and fuel to their muscles? Last of Us Zs seem more plausible.
It wouldn't be long. It wouldn't be years like Walking Dead or anything like that.
So insects, the way that they, like, if you guys don't know, the way an insect moves is it's hydraulic, right? Like each of its joints has like a little hydraulic pump that makes the joint go like, so when it dies, that's why it curls up and does that, because the pump isn't squeezing anymore. So when it squeezes, the leg straightens out, and when it contracts, it goes like that, right? That's why they're so fucking strong. Like ants are so fucking strong because it's just like this little tiny pump that makes their legs straighten out like a hydraulic pump, you know? So it's all in their exoskeleton. So like if somehow they're, you know, like body parts hardened and they had hydraulic pump systems like insects, like exoskeletons, then it wouldn't have to get oxygen everywhere. You just need it in those little pumps. That was a really long explanation. Probably really not plausible at all. Never mind. Shut up. Shut up, me.
I don't know. Ants are cool to begin with, anyways. I saw this video today where ants made this fucking land bridge that, you know, looped down probably several feet and came back up and went to a hornet's nest that was underneath someone's porch.
Ghost Shadow says in Alaska, a fire spread to over 100,000 acres in a day. 1 year, they had over 1 million acres burn.
Jesus.
I forget how many acres burned in Colorado that 1 year. It was a crazy amount.
And California is always burning, so.
Well, they also don't create proper fire breaks or even allow their people to burn down shit that is all rotted out.
Cameron Peak fire, 2020 was the biggest one.
Fucking dogs.
That burnt 197,000 acres in one fire. Damn. Well, I mean, Alaska's a bigger place, too. Smart dust? Dude, yeah, smart dust is a thing. Like, they've been using that in Colorado, too. Like, dust that they spread on the road that gathers information about you and your car and where you're going and sticks to you and shit. It's weird.
Wait, what?
Yeah, look it up. Smart dust.
I've
Never heard of smart dust?
No.
Smart dust is a system of many tiny micro something or other systems, MEMSs, such as sensors, robots, and other devices that can detect, for example, light, temperature, vibration, magnetism, or chemicals. They are usually operated on a computer network wirelessly and are distributed over some area to perform tasks, usually sensing through radio frequency identification. Without an antenna or such greater size, the range of tiny smart dust communication devices is measured in a few millimeters, but they may be vulnerable to electromagnetic okay, whatever. Yeah, there's smart dust that they have that can collect information about light, temperature, vibration, magnetism, or chemicals as you like drive by it or walk by it or breathe on it or whatever.
Wow.
Yeah.
Almost pretty close to the nanobots.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, pretty much. And that, like, they wirelessly communicate. They've got their own internal power. They, you know, like, it's insane how small they can make these things because they basically look like I don't know, grains of salt. You know, like little cubes of salt that you could pour out of a salt shaker. That's how big they are. Yeah, it's been around since 2014. I've known about it since I've been doing this chat.
Did we talk about
4 or 5 years now? You know, something like that.
I don't remember it.
Anonymous says, I dropped mine about 2 months ago. I pushed it out away from the house before I start to not wake up the wife, and the grass was a bit high, so I didn't realize the kickstand was pushed up. Yeah. See, my last bike, I dropped that one when... Okay, like my current bike, if you have it in gear, or if you have the kickstand down, it won't let you start it. So you have to put it in neutral and put the kickstand up to start it. It's weird. It's a safety feature, right? So like if you have your kickstand down and you start your bike and then you just go, that's how some people wreck, is because they take off with their kickstand while it's still down, or it's in gear and you start it, right? And then the bike lurches forward out of your hands and from underneath you and make... That's what happened with my last bike. It didn't have that feature. So it was in gear and I didn't think it was, and I was just sitting there and I hit the start button and it woof.
Damn.
Oh shit.
So basically,
Good.
Anonymous, your wife made you fall.
Yeah.
That's what I gathered.
Yep.
So off topic, I think my dogs are telling me they're hungry. You know how your microwave, chimes or makes noise when it ends the time? I'm sitting there in the living room talking to you guys, and all of a sudden I hear my microwave chime like it just ended. I'm like, what the fuck? I'm not cooking anything. Already ate. I go in there and I made dinner, and I had a little bit, on the counter pushed back, and one of my dogs was trying to climb up on the counter and turn the fucking microwave on.
He's hungry. Terry Smith says, people get complacent, nothing happens, so when it does finally happen, they're not ready, and or denying that it's even happening until it's too late. Yeah, and I think that's it right there. Like, how often have you had to flee from your house because of a fire swooping in? Never, or maybe someone out there once or something, but it's not something that honestly normally happens. So when it does finally dawn on you, oh shit, this is happening to me right now, it might be too late by that point.
Right. That's what I said earlier. I'm thinking probably how the rest of the people in the chat probably thinking. I'm quite sure everybody in the chat probably has a bug out bag, like an overnight bag or something already, just in case that happened. So people in this crowd, it's different.
Oh yeah, I have multiple bug out bags.
Yeah, exactly.
X Adam 1 says, what is the Honda Accord of motorcycles? A good everyday with enough power to get on the highway and not kill you on gas. Most of all, known for reliability. I would say probably the Honda NC 750. People fucking hate it because it doesn't make much power, especially for a 750. I think it makes 50 horsepower or something like that. But they're dead nuts reliable. Sips gas. You're looking at 60, 70 miles per gallon. Get on the highway all day on something like that with having plenty of power for it. You're not setting any land speed records or anything, but it'll get you around just fine, and you go on a trip with it, whatever. And they've been making them for a couple of years, so you can even get them used for $5-6 grand, something like that. So they're not even that expensive.
But why's it got to be a Honda, you Honda shield?
Well, what does a Honda Accord do? It does everything okay, right? It doesn't do anything good. It does everything okay. I guess you could say the bike that I wanted to get before I got the bike that I have, the Kawasaki Versus 650, because it does everything okay, but nothing really great, But yeah, you could say the same thing about the NC 750, but I think that one's got a little bit more reputation for being reliable just because it's a Honda over a Kawasaki. Not to say that it is. I think the Kawasaki's are perfectly reliable. Otherwise, I wouldn't have bought one. But
Y'all hear about that
people
house
killed in
explosion
Washington,
today?
D.C. this week. Mayor calls for National Guard to help. Really?
Yeah. I
The
came
reason
across
you
an
don't hear
article
about
on
it either is because it's all black on black crime.
I feel
I
like
didn't hear
11
about it.
people dying in DC in a week's like a slow week, you know?
Well, those were all shootings that happened.
Right. 11 shootings and people dying in DC in a week.
In a weekend. It says, wait, what? This weekend or?
Oh, in a weekend? Okay, in like 1 week, but still, like 11 people in a weekend.
Wait, he said DC. No, or he called this weekend. The mayor called for National Guard help. So
How many
11
people
people
live
in
in
what?
DC?
Right, in a day or?
It was
I
like a
don't know.
time span of like a week or so.
Oh, so it was a week.
Yeah, it was like 1 or
11
2
people?
a day for like a week or so.
I'm just saying, like, how many people live in DC? How many of them are like
11
ghetto
less
ass,
now.
like piece of shit, fucking like gang bang drug dealers, street fucking thug people? Whole lot of them.
Yep.
11 of them die in a week.
Yeah, DC was even more horrible in the 90s.
Like, DC is a weird place, bro. Because it's like the houses there are so fucking expensive that you have to be like rich as fuck to buy one. And the only people who buy houses and live in DC like that are like politically connected, insider, this or that kind of people, you know? And then everyone else who lives there is dirt fucking poor. So,
Isn't that where you went instead of going to the Trump inauguration?
the Biden inauguration, you mean?
No, Trump. Weren't you like picking between two? Or yeah, Biden.
Well, I was
I'm
either
sorry,
going to
yeah.
be there on January 6th for the Trump rally or on January 20th for the inauguration.
Right.
And it wasn't Trump's inauguration because he didn't win. So
I know, Freudian slip. My bad.
there
I
you
knew
go.
what I was thinking, but words just came out wrong.
I mean, that's where I went. I was down there. I streamed fucking several times from the street. I yelled at some National Guard people about their backpacks. It was fun.
Did you hear about that house explosion today? I don't remember where it was, but they said they
Some
found
part of
5 bodies.
Pennsylvania.
Yeah, I was in
Yeah, I
Pennsylvania. I
just seen
did
it
see that.
before
Yeah.
I came on. Yeah, and it killed a kid too.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
5
that shit
people
was
died.
crazy.
Yeah, I think I got it pulled up somewhere here.
I mean,
Pennsylvania.
but I was just thinking this is why they want all this crime to happen, so we can have a police state.
Oh yeah, so the government
Right.
can come in and clean everything up, and in my opinion, institute the 15 cities because, you know, we talked about this earlier. You know, possible what they were doing in Hawaii because of what the governor said. You know, sometime before, you know, the tragedy of Maui hit.
Well, it's the Hegelian dialectic.
Damn.
Like, what the fuck happened, dude? That's a nice house,
Man.
too.
Yeah, 2-story nice house.
Bro. That house is gone.
Yeah, and the shockwave knocking shit off the house right there. It's fucking insane. I was watching that earlier. Someone had posted it to Discord. God, that's insane. Did they say what it was? Was it a gas main or something? Gas line?
They still don't know for sure yet. They still don't evacuate everybody from the neighborhood because they not for sure yet.
Yep, don't know. It says they don't know.
Alive, not alive. Alive, not alive. Alive, not alive. That's fucked up but funny.
God damn it.
Did you guys see that video?
That's dark humor.
Did you guys see that video of Carrie Lake at the Iowa State Fair milking a cow and then talking to reporters about
Yes.
two genders?
Yes, I saw that.
Hold on, I'll be right back. I need to grab a drink.
All right. Penis. Penis. Yeah, that's what I think, man. Like, they are soft on crime right now because they want everybody to freak out, to bring in more police.
Yep.
And be like, see, this is what happened when you defund the police. Now let's give the police more money. and some tanks, some armor, bigger guns, less of your freedom, and your guns. You had to give up your guns because if you didn't own guns, then the gangbangers won't own guns and criminals.
There was a mob of about 50 people in LA that robbed an entire Nordstrom store.
Yeah, I saw that. That's
Yep.
nuts.
And some dude even said, because their mainstream media contacted him about using this video, he's like, go ahead and use it as long as you talk about how you defunded the cops.
Really? Damn.
Yeah.
Nice.
And they're like, okay, we're good.
Nope.
Oh, dude, what if this is true?
And some giant obelisks.
Yeah, instead of just being pyramids, they're just the tip of the obelisk sticking out of the dirt, out of the sand.
I actually saw this the other day where someone was talking about that. It'd be crazy. I guess I could see it, especially with the Great Flood, from the Bible.
I mean, I don't think that's true, but it would be cool. That's all.
I mean, have they finished digging underneath or the pyramids?
Oh, bro, have you seen the new UFO video? Holy shit. Hold on,
No.
let me pull this up real quick. If I can find it, it's been going around. It's been making its rounds.
Why is your
Wait
Twitter
for it.
timeline better than mine?
What's that?
So why is your Twitter timeline better than mine?
Because you have to search UFO.
No, but your timeline period. Just your regular timeline.
Oh, when I'm just it depends on who you
we
follow. You got to follow the right people.
And he's always on Twitter is his point that he's not saying. So he's searching all kinds of different shit. So there's all kinds of shit that pops up.
The alien on the subway. No, I'm not finding it. There's a UFO. There's like 3 UFOs that are like flying around a fucking airplane as it flies, and it's caught from a satellite, from like a U.S. satellite. I can't fucking find it. Never mind.
But it was deemed fake news and then therefore taken down.
Oh, this is funny, dude. So kids are over having a sleepover upstairs playing with a Ouija board.
Oh yeah.
Well, let me hit this button so you can hear it too. Can you hear it?
Yep.
That's great. I bet they don't play with one of those ever again.
Oh, this is great too. 1995, Star Trek envisioning the Bay Area in the 2020s. The Bay Area in the 2020s.
Yep.
Seems like they got it right.
Mm-hmm.
Hit that nail on the head.
Yeah, bread, garlic bread, gluten-free with nuts.
Echo.
Oh. There, how's that? Try it again.
Better.
Okay, cool. People don't fake depression. They fake being okay.
Yep, pretty much.
Denver area inflation is the highest in the country. So come on over to Denver. 92% of COVID deaths in 2022 were from triple vaxxed. Triple plus vaxxed.
Should have been quad vaxxed. The fourth one would have did it.
I gotta go quit vaxxed.
Calhoun says search for UAP. They changed it from UFO. Hold on. UAP. Oh, yeah, this is totally it. Ha! Okay, watch this shit.
Okay, it's a plane.
It's just a plane. It's just flying. Oh, what's that?
Okay.
Oh, what's that? Weird. Oh, there's 2 of them. Oh, there's 3 of them.
Huh.
Yeah, and supposedly this has been vetted and is like legit and
it's just video editing. Clever video editing. So would the plane explode, disappear, or?
If the plane would have disappeared, it would have definitely made the news.
nothing was confirmed. Nothing in this video suggested it was taken from a satellite. Nothing in this okay, maybe not. I don't know. I don't know, dude.
Unless it was a Chinese plane and that video is from China somewhere.
China. It's funny how UAP got us there, though. You guys ready for this Simpsons prophecy?
Yep, been ready for it.
Yep.
I would be ready if
125
aliens
years
actually
ago, you didn't have to ask permission from the government to collect rainwater, go fishing, own property, start a business, build a home, get married, hunt, own a weapon, cut hair, sell a product, protest, or sell food.
Is this true?
You can do virtually nothing without being extorted by government and obtaining their permission first. If you still think you're free, you're deluding yourself. You're just a free-range human living on a tax farm. Not a Fed says, nothing to see here. Those are just airplane moths. They're attracted to jets like moths to a lamp. Obviously not a big deal. I mean, I still think it's funny that the government, through a committee on national TV, basically admitted that we've recovered alien aircraft with biological entities inside of it that are non-human. And no one freaked out. No one cared. No one did anything. I'm not even sure there were like a bunch of articles written about it. I mean, there were some, but not to the level that you would think, you know? Because that's something that people have been trying to get the government to admit for a really long time. I mean, like, Area 51, look at Bob Lazar, look at all these other people who fucking dedicated their entire life to exposing government cover-ups and lies when it has to come to do with UFOs, with aliens. And they finally come forward after years of denying and denying and denying and denying, and give us like a morsel. They didn't give us the whole fucking meal, but they gave us a bite.
So
We didn't get to eat the whole bowl of chili, but we know what it tastes like, you know?
If they did that, why not just come out and say, hey, here's all the fucking proof. Here's what they look like. If they have live ones, say, here's live ones. I mean...
Well, and the
why
timing
all
of it's
fucking
also
secrecy?
suspicious.
I think it's all just bullshit.
Right. Well, that's what the timing, right? Like, when are they coming out with this information? When are they talking about it? Oh, it just happens to be like right when all this other shit's going on that we don't want you to know about, and like, oh, like billions of dollars going to fucking Ukraine, and like our dollar going to shit, and like Biden's fucking son with laptops and da da da. Oh, hey, aliens, everybody! Like it's a little too convenient. You're right.
Yep.
Go Shadow says, "Do you think Feinstein, Pelosi, and Biden are really human? All three of them? Probably they're like at least one of them's human, but I would say there's a chance that one of them's not. Like you guys have seen the pictures of Joe Biden and his earlobes, right?
Oh yeah, or the video of him scratching his neck and the skin moves abnormally.
Dude, the earlobes are way weirder to me though. Like the
I know.
neck on your skin, like maybe you just have some weird fucking skin and you're really old and I don't know how that fucking. But your earlobes don't fucking change.
No, but that was, if you believe it, was explained by his granddaughter, who came out a while back in an interview saying that Joe Biden died years ago, and that's actually his brother that assumed mantle because the Bidens didn't want to lose power. So that's his brother, not Joe.
Is there pictures of Joe Biden and his brother together before he died?
I have no idea. I'm just saying what I've heard.
Well, I mean, we could look at Joe Biden and his brother if there's a picture of it.
So who's playing his brother then?
Okay, so here's Joe Biden and here's his brother. I don't think they look enough alike.
Well, there's things as Hollywood makeup, so
I don't know. They kind of do. Right, just a little makeup.
Mm-hmm.
But can he do his brother's voice? That's the difference of it.
you wouldn't have to really worry about the voice because of him being older, You can just explain that away as age.
We also have voice changing technology too that could go on there.
God, look at that face, man. That's a face of freedom right there.
It's a face of nightmares.
Doesn't that face just scream like American power?
That's a face that screams at some man having to go take a shit real bad.
I don't know. That's that Clint Eastwood eye squint.
Turn off the lights and come to bed there, Wilma.
That's the face that he made when he shit his pants at the Vatican.
Forgot about that. Jesus Christ. Dude, there's not very many pictures of Joe Biden's brother.
I wonder why.
So there's his brother. Okay, during the Revolutionary War.
Look at the earlobes.
During the Revolutionary War, there was a English general in charge of everything whose last name was Clinton. Is there any relation? Do you guys know? Does anyone out there know? General Clinton to Clinton?
No.
Is there a connection? Because if you look at the picture of General Clinton, they kind of look like they're related. Henry Clinton. Look at him. I mean, I guess it's just a white dude, but it could be fucking Clinton's goddamn ancestor.
I don't know. Did we talk about it on this show? How all the world leaders are the descendants of this one king from England?
Yeah, it's like all but two presidents are somehow related to the English king.
Yeah, it's all distant cousins and shit.
Right. Oh boy, didn't mean to look at that. All right, guys, we're fucking done. We're fucking done here. It's been goddamn almost 2 fucking hours. I don't know what you want from me. We're here to do a show for you. I think we've done quite a quality show for you here tonight. And I think you all should just take that and you should enjoy it. And you should put it in your pipe and you should smoke that shit. Because I ain't going to give you anything else to smoke tonight.
Oh, shucks.
Get your own weed.
Get your own
People-
mesothelioma.
People will always continue to talk about that 24-hour chat.
Yeah. They're never going to let that go.
Bro, I did it once. So I don't have to do it again. Like,
Yeah, why don't they do a 24-hour
Yeah,
chat?
where's
huh?
your 24-hour chat? Calhoun says, the people demand more. Well, I mean, I don't know what to say, man. I do have some stuff that I would like to get done tonight, besides sit here in front of a magical glowing screen that brings me all to you and you to me.
For every $5 super chat goes an extra minute or two.
No.
I'm trying to find, like, Clinton's fucking lineage, but I'm not seeing it.
That will probably take some digging.
Yeah.
If
48-hour
it hasn't-
chat.
If it hasn't been scrubbed from the internet.
X Adam says, I need 1K subs to chat, I think. Wrong.
No,
You
that's
just-
to get monetized.
Right.
That is right.
Mm-hmm.
Colin says, too bad Daniel isn't here. We'd be here all night. Oh, well.
Should
All right,
have
guys.
brought up his name.
Well, we're going to end it here. Peace out, all. Have a good night. We'll see you next time. Deuces, y'all. Shall not pee in fridge. All the things that Never Enough Ammo says at the end of his chats. And goodbye,
Penis.
everybody. Have a great night.
Daniel, do it
Sorry,
right
Dad.
now. Do it right now.